What if the path to rebuilding your marriage after betrayal doesn't start with endless, agonizing conversations about the affair? What if it doesn't begin with trying to force forgiveness for them? What if, instead, it starts with a quiet, radical act of compassion for yourself? You're carrying the heavy armor of resentment, and everyone, maybe even a part of yourself, is telling you that you need to forgive your partner to move on. But the truth is, the profound, lasting healing that will truly transform your marriage begins with forgiving yourself. It begins with the choice to lay down your weapons, not as an act of surrender to the one who hurt you, but as an act of profound kindness to the one who is still bleeding, you. This isn't about condoning what happened. It's about choosing to no longer be defined by it. This is the path of radical self-compassion, and it's the only bridge back to a relationship that isn't just surviving, but is intentionally restored. We're going to walk this path together today, so make sure to stick with me to the end, where I'll share some powerful exercises you can start using immediately. The heavy armor of resentment. When you've been betrayed, resentment feels like a necessary defense. It's a heavy suit of armor you put on, piece by piece. Each replay of the lies, each memory of the broken promises, each wave of nausea that hits when you think about the deception, it all adds another layer. This armor feels like it's protecting you. It feels like a fortress that will keep you from getting hurt again. But if you pause, if you really feel its weight, you'll notice that this armor is also a cage. Resentment is a state of persistent, defensive anger. It's born from a deep, gut-wrenching sense of unfairness. You played by the rules, you loved, you trusted, and you were the one who ended up shattered. The injustice of it all is a fire that resentment constantly stokes. And so, you wear the armor. On the inside, you feel victimized, hurt, and fragile. But on the outside, this armor makes you look hard, unfriendly, maybe even mean-spirited. It creates distance not just from your partner, but from everyone, and most painfully, from yourself. You become a smoke alarm that's always on, constantly scanning for the next fire, unable to rest in the present moment. This state of constant defense locks you into what we call the victim-villain cycle. Your partner is the villain, the one who inflicted the unforgivable wound. You are the victim, the one who holds the moral high ground. This dynamic feels righteous. It feels validating. But it's a trap. As long as you are the victim, you're defined by what was done to you. Your power, your narrative, your very sense of self becomes tethered to their transgression. You are waiting for an apology that may never be enough, or for a sense of justice that will never truly come, because no amount of their suffering can erase yours. The armor of resentment is exhausting to carry. It dominates your thoughts, drains your energy, and keeps your nervous system in a heightened state of stress. It leads to a self-punishing dialogue that loops endlessly in your mind. How could I have been so stupid? Why did I ever trust them? I should have seen the signs. This isn't protection. It's a prison of your own making, built from the materials of someone else's crime. You're chained to the past, unable to move forward into a future that feels safe or whole. So, the first, most courageous step in healing is to acknowledge the true nature of this armor. It's not keeping you safe. It's keeping you stuck. It's not preserving your dignity. It's preventing your healing. The only way to break free is to do the one thing that feels the most counterintuitive, to turn your attention away from the one who betrayed you, and turn it, with radical kindness, toward yourself. The radical shift to self-compassion. The word, compassion, is often associated with kindness toward others. But radical self-compassion is the revolutionary act of turning that kindness inward, especially when you feel you deserve it the least. It's radical because it defies our most common instincts after betrayal. The instinct to blame ourselves, to feel shame, and to believe that our pain is a sign of weakness. Self-compassion isn't self-pity. Self-pity says, "Poor me, my life is ruined." Self-compassion says, "This is a moment of profound suffering, and I deserve care because I am suffering." It's the ability to be kind and gentle with yourself when you're experiencing negative emotions. Self-compassion isn't self-indulgence. It's not about ignoring the problem or pretending the pain doesn't exist. It's about acknowledging the full reality of the betrayal without judgment. It's about facing the immense hurt and allowing yourself to feel it, rather than numbing it or lashing out. And most importantly, self-compassion is not about letting your partner off the hook. It's about letting yourself off the hook. It's about ending the cycle of self-blame that so often follows betrayal. You stop asking, "What did I do to cause this?" and start affirming, "Their actions are their responsibility. My healing is mine." You recognize that the internal wounds of shame, inadequacy, and rejection belong to you now, and only you have the power to heal them. This shift is transformative because it reclaims your agency. Instead of being a passive victim of your circumstances, you become an active participant in your own recovery. Your sense of self-worth begins to untangle from the actions of your partner. You start to see that your value is inherent and cannot be diminished by someone else's choices. To guide this process, we can use a powerful framework from mindfulness and therapeutic practice known as RAIN. RAIN is an acronym that stands for Recognize, Acknowledge what is happening in the present moment. Allow, let your feelings be there, without trying to fix or change them. Investigate, gently explore your inner experience with curiosity. Nurture, offer yourself the kindness and compassion you need. This framework provides a structured way to move from the chaotic storm of resentment and shame into a space of gentle self-awareness and healing. It's the beginning of trading that heavy, suffocating armor for the quiet, internal work of self-forgiveness. And if you're finding this concept helpful, I've created a free guided journal based on these principles. You can find the link to download it in the description. Practical exercises for healing. Theory is one thing, but healing happens in practice. Radical self-compassion isn't just a concept, it's a series of deliberate, repeated actions. These aren't grand, dramatic gestures. They're quiet, internal shifts that, over time, will fundamentally change your relationship with yourself and, in turn, create the possibility of a new relationship with your partner. Let's walk through 3 practical exercises you can start today, using the RAIN framework as our guide. The resentment armor release. This first exercise is designed to help you begin to unbuckle that heavy armor of resentment. Find a quiet place where you can sit undisturbed for just 5 minutes. Close your eyes if that feels comfortable. First, recognize. Silently say to yourself, "I am feeling resentment," name it. Don't judge it, just acknowledge its presence. You might even visualize that suit of armor you've been wearing. Feel its weight on your shoulders, the cold metal against your skin. The purpose of this step is simply to see it for what it is, a defense mechanism. Next, allow. This is often the hardest part. Give the resentment permission to be there. Stop fighting it. Stop trying to push it away. You might say to yourself, "This feeling of resentment is here. I allow it to be here for now." When you stop fighting a feeling, you rob it of its power. It's like letting go of a rope in a tug of war. The tension immediately slackens. You're not condoning the feeling, you're simply acknowledging its existence without resistance. Now, investigate. With gentle curiosity, ask yourself, what is this armor protecting? Look underneath the anger and the sense of injustice. What is the raw, vulnerable wound that the resentment is covering? Is it a fear of being abandoned again? Is it a deep feeling of shame or inadequacy? Perhaps it's the shattering of your belief in a safe and predictable world. Don't force an answer. Just ask the question gently. You might explore what hopes or dreams feel like they have been shattered by this betrayal. Finally, nurture. This is where you actively bring in compassion. Place a hand over your heart. Feel the warmth of your own touch. This simple physical gesture can be incredibly powerful. Offer yourself a few words of kindness, as you would to a dear friend who was suffering. You could say, "This hurts so much, may I be kind to myself in this moment?" Or, "May I release this armor when I am ready, with grace," or simply, "This is a moment of suffering." Suffering is a part of life. This final step isn't about fixing anything. It's about meeting your own pain with tenderness. Practicing this daily, even for a few minutes, begins the process of dissolving that armor from the inside out. The victim-villain cycle breaker. The armor of resentment is fueled by the story of a victim and a villain. As long as this story is the only one you tell yourself, you'll remain trapped. This exercise is a daily or weekly journaling practice designed to interrupt that narrative and reclaim your power. Set aside 10 minutes with a journal. At the top of the page, write this prompt. Today, what blame am I holding onto, and what unmet need in me is this blame protecting? Let's break that down. The first part, what blame am I holding onto, is about making the implicit explicit. Write it all out without censorship. I blame him for ruining our family. I blame him for making me feel like I'm not enough. I blame him for stealing my future. Get it all out on the page. Now, for the second, more transformative part. What unmet need in me is this blame protecting? This is where you shift from an external focus to an internal one. Look at each piece of blame you've written down. If you blame them for ruining your family, perhaps the unmet need is for security and stability. If you blame them for making you feel not enough, the unmet need might be for validation and worthiness. If you blame them for stealing your future, the unmet need may be for hope and predictability. This isn't about excusing their behavior. Their behavior was their choice. This is about understanding your own internal landscape. When you can identify your own unmet needs, you realize something profound. You can begin to meet some of those needs for yourself. You can work on creating your own sense of security. You can practice affirming your own worth. You can start to build a new vision for your future, one that isn't dependent on their actions. End your journaling session by breathing into the need you've identified and saying to yourself, I accept that this pain and this unmet need are mine to heal. This practice short-circuits the victim-villain cycle by shifting your focus from trying to change or punish them, to understanding and nurturing yourself. It's an act of taking responsibility, not for the betrayal, but for your own healing journey forward. The self-forgiveness bridge to intimacy. This final exercise is perhaps the most radical of all. It's about offering forgiveness not to the one who betrayed you, but to yourself. Many people who have been betrayed carry a secret, secondary shame. Shame for not seeing it sooner. Shame for staying. Shame for the powerful, messy, unacceptable feelings of rage and grief. Self-forgiveness releases you from this self-imposed prison. Find a private space and stand in front of a mirror. This can feel intensely uncomfortable, so be gentle with yourself. Look into your own eyes. First, just recognize the person you see. See the pain in your own eyes. See the exhaustion. See the fight. Acknowledge the journey you've been on. Say, I see you. I see how much you're hurting. Then, speaking out loud, begin to offer yourself forgiveness for your survival responses. You might say, I forgive myself for not knowing what I didn't know. Or, I forgive myself for the ways I may have abandoned myself to please others. You might have to forgive yourself for not being able to handle things perfectly. It might even be about forgiving yourself for not living up to an identity of perfection you had built for yourself. Now, visualize that heavy armor of resentment you've been carrying. See it in your mind's eye. Then, in the mirror, watch yourself consciously taking it off, piece by piece. As you do, say, with radical compassion, "I forgive my survival responses. I am trading this armor for grace." Finally, as you look at yourself in the mirror, free from that imagined weight, offer yourself a mantra. A powerful one for this moment is, "May this suffering awaken my compassion." Repeat it a few times. Let it sink in. This isn't about becoming a perfect, enlightened being. It's about accepting your own humanity. It's about understanding that your reactions, the anger, the grief, the obsessive thoughts, were the reactions of a human being in immense pain. Forgiving them doesn't erase the past, but it liberates you to create a different future. It's the final, essential act of self-love that proves that your healing is the sustainable bridge back to connection. If these exercises resonate with you, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We explore topics like this every week, and I'd love for you to be part of our community. From self-healing to relational restoration. As you consistently practice these exercises, releasing the armor, breaking the victim cycle, and forgiving yourself, a fundamental shift begins to occur. The intense, reactive energy of anger and resentment starts to soften into something quieter and more spacious. This doesn't happen overnight, but slowly, you create a new foundation within yourself. This foundation is built on self-worth that's no longer conditional on your partner's actions. It's built on an emotional resilience that allows you to hold your own pain without being consumed by it. And it's built on a deep, internal sense of safety that comes from knowing you will be there for yourself, no matter what. From this place of inner stability, you can re-engage with your partner in a completely new way. You're no longer approaching them from a position of a wounded victim seeking justice, but as a whole person choosing to explore the possibility of a new relationship. The conversations are no longer just about replaying the past but about building a different future. You can set clear, healthy boundaries not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Your self-compassion can even create space for you to see their own brokenness, not as an excuse, but as a contributing factor to the betrayal. When you've extended grace to yourself, you're better able to see them as a fallible human being, capable of both great mistakes and incredible growth. This is where true restoration begins. It's not about going back to the marriage you had. That marriage is over. It's about having the courage, grounded in your own healing, to build a new marriage together, one founded on honesty, mutual respect, and a compassion that, having been first applied to yourself, can now be extended to another. The journey out of the darkness of betrayal isn't a straight line. It's a winding path that requires immense courage. But the belief that your healing depends on your partner's apology, their remorse, or their actions is a myth that will keep you trapped. The only path to true freedom and restoration begins and ends with you. It begins with the radical choice to meet your own suffering with profound kindness. By trading the heavy armor of resentment for the quiet work of self-forgiveness, you're not just surviving, you're intentionally reclaiming your life. You're proving that healing yourself is the most powerful act you can take, and it's the only bridge strong enough to carry the weight of rebuilding a marriage. If this message resonated with you, and you're ready to continue this journey of healing, please subscribe for more videos on navigating life after betrayal with strength and compassion. And if you're looking for a more structured way to begin this work, you can download my free guided journaling exercise, The First 7 Days of Self-Compassion, using the link in the description below. Remember, you're not alone, and you have the power to heal.